You know how these things go. What passes for hip is often hype, but not here. I mean, Mexico City is sort of like, well, like this hotel, Condesa de Efe, one of the coolest hotels in the world. I mean, it's all about that quirky combination of traditional and modern, of international and, well, unmistakably, unapologetically Mexican. It's my kind of town. Now, when you talk about hip Mexico City, a lot of people say, oh, yeah, like the Zona Rosa. Well, yeah, but like any city, things evolve. The Zona Rosa used to be the chic part of town, but just like in Manhattan and Paris, the artists and the bohemians couldn't afford the rent there anymore, so they started to colonize the neighborhoods nearby. And a lot of the high-end stores moved over to the ritzy Polanco area, but for the really hip nowadays, Condesa and Roma are the happening parts of town. Now, I don't know about you, but I judge the coolness factor of a neighborhood based on street life and outdoor cafes. I'd give Condesa a 10. Check it out. So they've got eggs and chilaquiles and enfrijoladas. You know, the enchiladas with the garlicky bean sauce on them. Sounds good. Hola, buenos días.
Buenos días.
This is just what I was talking about, a beautiful breakfast of all organic food. We've got the enfrijoladas here, the enchiladas with the bean sauce, the garlicky bean sauce, a little fresh cream, queso fresco, that fresh cheese, and some vegetables on there, fresh squeezed orange juice, big cup of cappuccino, and a little shot of wheatgrass juice. That'll get you started. I want to show you a really delicious way to make enfrijoladas in the Oaxacan style. What I've got here is some black beans cooked. I put all the ingredients out so you could see what's in the pot. Black beans cooked with some chorizo sausage and onion. This is a chili from Oaxaca. It's a smoky chili, and it's called a chile pasilla oaxaqueño, and these are avocado leaves. They have a kind of anise-like flavor. Now, if that sounds a little exotic for you, well, I've got an easier version. I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd cook some black beans with a handful of garlic and a couple of chipotle chilies. Use some chorizo sausage in there if you want to or not, but just cook them until they're completely tender. That'll probably take you a couple of hours. That's what I've got in the pot, although mine do have that sort of exotic seasonings. When you're working with avocado leaves, you want to toast them in a dry skillet first and then put them right in like you would a bay leaf. I'm going to take it out now so that I can put these beans into a blender jar. And remember, they're hot. Now, I'm going to blend it. I'm going to blend them while they're hot. And that can be a pretty dangerous thing to do unless you know what you're doing. So here's what you do. You put the blender jar on there and you take the center part of it out. Put a towel over the top, doubled up like that, and turn it on low. And let it blend until you get these beans to a completely smooth puree. Now the towel comes off. Put the top back in there. Set that down. And pour that black bean sauce right back into the pot where the beans were simmered. There's our sauce for making enfrijoladas. Now, we got to go on to the tortillas to make these little black bean-bathed enchiladas. And my favorite way to heat them up for such a simple dish is to take them out of their package and put them into a steamer. Now, I've got a steamer set up back here with a kitchen towel, clean kitchen towel, right in there. And I'm going to fold a dozen tortillas into my kitchen towel, put the top on. I'm going to turn it on to high. And when it comes to a complete rolling boil and you see all the steam puffing out of there, then turn it off and let it sit for about 15 minutes or so. While that's coming to a boil, I'm going to cook some chorizo sausage here, mashing it up, because this is what I'm going to sprinkle over the top of my Oaxacan style in frijoladas. Okay, we got to get the consistency right on this sauce. It's gotten a little thick, so I'm going to dribble in a little bit of water. I want it to be more or less the consistency of a light cream soup. Take a ladle full of the warm bean sauce, put that into a plate or pie dish, uncover the tortillas here, and I'm going to grab one, kind of hot in here, and drop it right into the bean sauce. Coat it on both sides and then fold it into quarters. I like to do this with my fingers here. I'm going to do a second tortilla the same way. And then put the bean sauce over the enfrijoladas. Nice. Doesn't that look creamy and delicious? Now I'm going to splash it with some roasted tomatillo salsa. I like the brightness of flavor against the earthiness of the black beans, flavored with the avocado leaf and chorizo. A little more chorizo to sprinkle over the top of it. And some of that Mexican queso fresco, the fresh cheese. You know about this stuff. It's the garnishing cheese that you just crumble between your fingers like that. It's sort of fresh and milky tasting. Got a little saltiness to it. Then what they do in Oaxaca always is to put a few onion rings over the top and some leaves of flat leaf parsley, not cilantro, down in Oaxaca. Okay, Lainey, lunch is ready.
Enfrijoladas. Awesome.
You know what? You know about what's hot and what's not. What's your vote for the hippest place in Mexico City?
El Milagrito.
Well, the sign's pretty cool.
And wait till you see inside.
Milagrito, milagro. I think I know where this is going. You know what those milagros are? They're the little religious charms that people for centuries have taken into the churches to pin onto the saints when they had a particular petition. They wanted to pray for a certain miracle to take place. But well, in the last few years, those little silver milagro charms become one of the hottest properties for contemporary jewelry. Let's go check out what Lainey's found.
Look at this.
You know what those are, don't you?
Of course, they're loteria.
Those are the Mexican bingo cards that all the kids play here. They've, I guess, glued it on a little piece of wood, put some magnets on the back of it, and that's a nice little refrigerator magnet. I think we should take some of these home for our refrigerator. Oh, and look at the glass up there. That glass I have had in my house since I was a little kid. I think my grandparents went to Mexico back in the 30s or 40s and brought some of that green glass, hand-painted, but now you see it in all of the hippest bars and restaurants around, especially this section of town in the Condesa.
Look at this. Isn't that a great purse?
I like that a lot, but do you know what that's made out of?
No.
That's Mexican oilcloth. You know where you see most of the Mexican oilcloth? Like on market day when all those vendors come and they set up their market stalls, those low tables, they cover it with Mexican oilcloth. And somebody's made that into a purse here. It's sort of an iconic Mexican thing. But you see the design on here, these beautiful big bold flowers, well, you'll find them in that or some repeated geometric patterns. Very hip, very old, very cool. But look over here. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the iconic Mexican shopping bag. It's cheap, it's nylon. You can find it in all different kinds of colors. But this one has been given new life. It's been decorated up with some fringe on it and some hearts on it. And this is what you see all the young ladies around here carrying for purses. It's what gives Mexico City its super hip factor. You know, it's perfect. It's old and traditional, seen in a contemporary context, so it's all brand new. know, reinventing tradition is pretty much the specialty of Pujol. It's one of the hippest restaurants in town. Enrique Olvera is the chef owner of this place. He went to culinary school in the United States, and then he just decided he wanted to take all of those fine dining techniques he'd learned in culinary school and bring them back to Mexico and apply them to the food that he'd grown up with. Some pretty cool reinterpretations started happening. I think I'm ready for my second cappuccino of the day.
Cappuccino de flor de calabaza.
Muchas gracias.
Eso.
Well, this is the cappuccino in question, a squash blossom cappuccino. So look at it. Looks cappuccino-like on the top, but underneath there's that beautiful golden, creamy squash blossom soup. You know, it's pretty simple to make. Big handful of squash blossoms, some rich broth, little herbs, some cream to finish it off. But you know what Chef Enrique's done is to cap it with foam made from coconut milk. It tastes at once very traditional, but with this little exotic edge to it. So now I've had my coffee, I've had my cappuccino. I think I'm ready for dessert. Muy bonito. Well, this is going to be quite a discovery. I've got the ices that they've created today, and I've got to discover what the flavors of them are. It's the tropical guanabana. A mouthful for most people that don't speak Spanish, but it's got rich, almost raisiny flavors. Beautiful little piece of mint on here. Now this looks like a piece of the green top off of a fennel. That's with guava. A little piece of dried caramelized pineapple. Over pineapple ice. They have that freshness about them, that lightness that you really only find in sort of the granitas of Italy. They're not as smooth and sweet as French sorbets, but for me they're ultra refreshing. Now the pink one. Could be strawberry. It's anything but strawberry. It's Jamaica. You know the little crimson calyx that you find on a type of hibiscus, and they used to make a tea here in Mexico, and then they turn that tea into a soft drink, the Jamaica. Kind of cranberry-like in flavor. It's got a piece of, looks like caramelized Jamaica on the top of it. That's brilliant. Now this is what the Jamaica looks like. It's dried, and when you open the package, I buy it at the Mexican grocery, it should just release that fabulous, unique Jamaica aroma. You always want to choose the Jamaica blossoms that are the darkest in color. And then you basically just make a tea out of it, whether you're going to drink it or whether you're going to turn it into an ice, into a sorbet. I've got 3 cups of water boiling here and a couple of cups, what's the equivalent of 2 ounces of Jamaica, goes right into the boiling water. Now I'm getting us set up to make this Jamaica ice, so I'm going to add a cup full of sugar to the boiling liquid there, and also 1/3 of a cup of corn syrup. Stir all that around. You can see that crimson color coming out of it just almost instantly. And let that come back to a simmer. Then cover it up and let it steep for at least a half an hour, but no more than 2 hours. Just look at that inky burgundy color. Strain out the Jamaica flowers. It'll be a little bit syrupy. And I'm just going to shake them, make sure I get everything out of them. There. And then to that, I'm going to add a little bit of lime juice, about 3 tablespoons. Squeeze out some of that fresh goodness there. Add that to it. I'm going to do the freezing in one of these frozen canister style ice cream makers. I just love these things. You just keep the canister in the freezer, and when you're ready to make a simple frozen fruit ice or Jamaica ice, you just pull the thing out, and half an hour you've got ice. You've got ice cream if that's what you're going for. This one you set up by seating the paddle into the motor, and then you fit the tabs in the front, seat it in the back, and turn the thing on. Pour in the Jamaica ice base and wait till it's frozen. So this is my favorite part. Look at the texture of that. It's doubled in its volume, it's lightened up in its color, and I think it's just about ready to scoop into a container for storage. Pull out the dasher. I'll save that for myself for later. Now you can't store in these containers, these frozen bases, so you need to scrape your ice or your ice cream into a storage container. Then cover it up, and I always say the ice cream is best 2 hours after it's been frozen by the ice cream maker.
What do you think of my arrangement?
Ooh, a little arrangement challenged, I think you are. You gotta have a little taste of this stuff.
Ooh, yum.
This is the Jamaica ice.
Ooh, yummy.
Tell me what you think of it.
A little bit sour.
No, it's totally refreshing. That's why I put all these beautiful sweet berries on here to kind of add that other little counterpoint of taste. You want to cookie?
Sure.
So like polvorones with Mexican chocolate on the top of them.
I like the chocolate.
You know, there's a fine line between trendy in a good way and trendy as in slick and copycat. One thing that I found here in Mexico City, and I guess it's what all of those journalists are getting so excited about, and that's that here you don't have to choose between cutting edge and something that's got centuries of soul. Well, it seems like wherever you look here, you get them both. And of course, that's the kind of hip that never goes out of style.